Hello, and now welcome to the Greek version of Acts 13:32 through 41. So be sure and listen to the podcast. If you're interested in more commentary, this video is more on the grammar and such of the Greek. Okay, so verse 32. Well, where are we? Chapter 13 is Paul's first sermon in the book of Acts, not his first sermon because he's been a Christian for probably 13, 14 years by this time. Probably preached a lot of homilies in synagogues in various places. Gotten into some trouble, in Damascus. But so verse 32 is in the middle of the sermon. We've already had the climax of the sermon, which is, but God raised him from the dead, which is the climax of all the sermons of Acts except for Stephen's sermon, and he gets stoned before he can get there. Okay, so let's go ahead and look here. He's already pronounced that Jesus is risen from the dead, and he's mentioned that the apostles are witnesses of it. And then we get here. Also, we are proclaiming the good news to y'all. So euangelizomai, it's deponent, is to preach the good news. So we preach the good news to y'all. What is the good news? Namely, the promise to the fathers having come to be. So we also preach the good news to you that the gospel, the promise to the fathers has come to be because, so this is again a Greek thing, the promise, and then to the fathers. So the to the fathers promise. It's just what Greek does. Having come to be, this is gen instead of gin. So because it's gen, it's the aorist stem. So this is the aorist. It's a participle. Men are passive participles, but gin, it's deponent. So this is a aorist, middle deponent participle, accusative feminine singular. So it's the promise that has come to be. The promise having come to be. That has come to be. Okay, because, I'm going to take this as a causal, because God, nominative, has fulfilled this promise. So this is feminine because it's telling us about promise. Because God has fulfilled this promise to the children of us. This is a perfect here. See how it's reduplication? P gets a little beside itself. Kappa. Epsilon nu is a third person singular, normally past tense. Active indicative ending, but the perfect uses it as well. Technically, the perfect is not a past tense, but it uses those endings here. Okay, so because God has fulfilled this promise to the children of us, having raised Jesus. So sigma alpha tells me that this is aorist, right? It's an aorist participle, hopefully something that you've memorized by now because we've seen it over and over again. Having raised Jesus. Now, there's no article on it, so it's probably an adverbial participle. And since it's an adverbial participle, there are those 10 adverbial nuances that adverbial participles can have. I'm guessing that this is an adverbial participle of means, so that it translates something like this. God fulfilled this promise to the children of us by raising Jesus. That's how he fulfilled the promise. As also in the psalm, it has been written, the second psalm, so we put it in our Greek pipe, we smoke it, it comes out. As also in the second psalm, it has been written. This is perfect. The gamma gets a little beside itself. The ending is shoved right on the stem, so it's perfect middle or passive. It has been written, and it stands written, right? This is the great thing about Scripture. It was written, but it remains written. This is the convention of talking of it. So what does it say in the second psalm? Quote, that's a capital upsilon, looks like a Y, but it's an U. Son of me are you. I today have begotten you. You are my son, today I have begotten you. Psalm 2, which is an enthronement psalm, maybe, used for the enthronement of the kings of Judah. So the timing, as I say in my podcast of this, is the resurrection. Raised him, begotten him today. He sits on the throne today. The timing of resurrection and enthronement go together in the theology of Acts. See Acts 2:35, for example. Okay, this is perfect, right? Kappa alpha, perfect. There's a little beside itself, perfect. Okay, perfect active indicative first singular. I have begotten you. Verse 32, because, and And because he raised him from the dead, so this is sigma epsilon nu. You know it. You know what this is, right? What is it? Sigma epsilon nu. You know it? Yes. Aorist, active indicative, third singular. And the word is anistemi, to rise or to cause to rise. No longer being about to return into corruption. So this is accusative singular. Arkonantos antianta. So it's accusative masculine singular. What does it go with? It goes with him, because him is accusative masculine singular. So, and because he raised him, no longer about to return into corruption. That's not going to happen. Jesus will not be returning to corruption anytime soon. In fact, never. He will never return to corruption. Corruption, not going to happen. Not going to do it. Read my lips. Wouldn't be prudent at any juncture. Okay, so this is an infinitive. Ein is one of the 7 endings. The others are I. So this is a present active infinitive. Okay, this is maiont is an active participle, present active participle, accusative masculine singular. Okay, corruption, diphtheron. Thus he has said, quote, this is the perfect of Lego. It's irregular. He has said. But you can see the epsilon nu tells you it's active indicative third singular, usually a past tense, but the perfect does it too. The kappa, it's perfect. Quote, delta, capital delta. Thus he has said, quote, I will give to you the holy things of David, the faithful, the holy and faithful things of David. So doso, didomi, doso, eroka, didoka. It's the future of didomi. Future active indicative first singular. I will give. Sigma indicates future in many cases in the indicative. Neuter plural alpha, the holy things, because it's neuter plural alpha, of David, the faithful holy things of David. Okay. Verse 35, wherefore also in a different place he says, quote, you will not give the Holy One of you to see corruption. Psalm 16. This is idain. It's an infinitive. Ain tells you it's an infinitive, and id tells you it's aorist of horao, to see. The Holy One, that's substantive. Holy what? The Holy what? The Holy Water? No, the Holy One. We have to make up with it. It's substantive. Verse 36. For, on the one hand, David, in his own generation, having served in his own generation, by the counsel, by the plan of God, by the of God plan, he slept, and he was added to the fathers of him, and he saw corruption. So we saw this back in Acts 3. This is the exegetical line of comparison between Peter and Paul, and a part of Lucan spiritual interpretation of the psalm. Okay, parsing the forms. Sigma alpha aorist. Can you do this one? We've seen it over and 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 over again. It's sassing you. It's a aorist active participle, nominative masculine singular. Lose sauce, sa sa san sa menas sa. Okay, anyway, participle song. Look it up. I've got it on YouTube somewhere. So it's an aorist active participle. David, having served in his own generation, by the plan of God, he slept. Theta eta is aorist passive, although this would seem to be just the way they do it. It's not he was slept. You don't do that. I don't know that it's not really deponent, koimao. But anyway, it's a conventional to say he died, even though the form is aorist passive, indicative third singular. Again, he was added. That seems a little bit more genuine, aorist passive. He was added, pros tithemi. Hopefully you're beginning to recognize tithemi. The te is the heart of it here. To the fathers of him, and he saw corruption. Aorist aid is the aorist of horao. Verse 37. This is the aorist of horao, but without the augment. Infinitives don't do augments, but this is the aorist of horao with the augment. See? Verse 37. Whom God raised, namely Jesus, he did not see corruption. So the argument is here that the psalm is spiritually referring to Jesus because Jesus did not see corruption, whereas David has been corrupted for some time now. Aorist of Egero, aorist of Horao, relative clause here, whom God raised. Okay, verse 38. Known, therefore, let it be to you. Esto is a third person singular imperative of eimi, present imperative. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be known to you. Men, brothers, that, noun clause, on account, through this man, to you, forgiveness of sins is announced. So this is present passive indicative, katangelo. And from all the things that you were not able in the law of Moses to be justified. In this man, everyone who believes is justified. So everyone who believes is justified from everybody who believes is justified from all the things that you were not able to be justified through the law of Moses. Now, again, I mentioned in my podcast how curiously this is worded. It sounds like it's saying that there may be some things that you can be justified by through the law of Moses, but all the things you were not able to be justified by through the law of Moses, you're justified. Everyone who believes is justified by. Well, okay, maybe that's not what it's saying. Very curious wording, though. So we have you were not able here. So this is aorist passive because of the theta. Second person plural. So it's aorist passive indicative second plural from dunamai. And I don't know why it augments with an eta. It's a weird word. Okay, you were not able, from all the things that you were not able by the law of Moses to be justified. So theta eta is aorist passive again. I is an infinitive ending, so it's aorist passive infinitive of dikai oo, to justify. In this man, everyone who believes is justified. Present passive indicative of dikai oo. This is a participle, the nominative masculine singular participle of pistuo, present active participle. See the article? Never lies. Verse 40. Therefore, watch not to fall into that which was said by the prophets. So this is an imperative, and it could have been indicative. It could be you are seeing, therefore, but I think it's an imperative. The form is exactly the same. For a present active indicative, second plural, and a present active imperative, second plural, looks exactly the same. But I think it's imperative here. Therefore, watch, lest it should be. You should come into. Elf is the aorist of erchomai, so it's ep erchomai. With the may, I'm thinking this is subjunctive. Probably, third person singular, if it's subjunctive. Look, therefore, lest it should come that which was spoken by the prophets. This is the, again, perfect of lego, that which is said. It is a perfect passive participle, accusative, neuter, singular. The having been said by the prophets thing. Watch, therefore, lest it should come upon you. That which was spoken by the prophets, verse 41, another imperative, watch slanderers or scoffers, and be amazed or marvel and perish. Again, imperatives here. This is an imperative second. It's aorist imperative because of the sigma alpha. This is aorist passive imperative, but probably maybe deponent, aphanizomai, maybe. I'm just guessing. I could look it up. In fact, for those of you who are curious, let me just look it up and see whether this is aphanizomai. Blah, blah. This is, of course, a quote from the Septuagint, verse 23. No, it's aphanizo, to disappear. But it is, okay. It must be, in the passive, it must mean be disappeared, perish, in other words, something like that. So you are going to be disappeared because I am doing a work. I am working a work. That's very Hebrew, isn't it? Well, of course, it's from the Septuagint. So it's translating Hebrew. That I am doing a work, I myself, in the days of y'all, a work that you would not believe if someone told you. So again, this is from the Septuagint. I'm not quite sure what it is quoting here. I should have looked it up, but I wasn't entirely clear it was a quote until just now. But we have a Old Testament quote that shows the marks of the Hebrew it's translating. Okay, well, what do I need to say? This is subjunctive. This is a ume, not. That not you would believe. You would never believe it. Strong. We call this a subjunctive of emphatic negation. Not. Both forms of not. So this is aorist active subjunctive, the second plural from piscuo. Sigma means future in the indicative, but in the subjunctive, it means aorist. And the eta before the ending, the fact that the connecting vowel is fried indicates that it is indeed subjunctive. So this is a subjunctive of emphatic negation that you would not believe, you would never believe if someone should tell you. This is subjunctive because on is a conditional clause, and it says you will have a subjunctive with me. So this is a subjunctive. The eta, again, the ending the connecting vowel has been fried. Ek da geomai, I'm guessing. And so that eta there indicates that it's subjunctive. So this one looks like present deponent subjunctive third singular. Just to make sure, let me do a quick spot check here. Yes, it is deponent. Okay, well, this has been the ramblings of a Greek madman in Acts chapter 13, verses 23, I believe it was, through 41.